Good evening, folks. Welcome to another edition of Curveball Convos Super Regional Previews with your boys at Carolina Curveball. Braxton, it is good to have you back tonight. Me and Reed held down the fort on Tuesday and recap the regionals. Unfortunately, Braxton, we only have one team left. It is your North Carolina Tar Heels. Glad they're still playing, but unfortunate that the other six teams in the Carolinas are eliminated. Tonight, we got a fun show for you guys. We're going to start off with Braxton giving his thoughts on the regionals this past weekend, as well as the Heels. We're going to kick it off with previewing North Carolina and Southern California, or USC, the real USC, maybe some people say. That's very controversial nowadays, where we are in the Carolinas. Preview regionals, super regionals, each matchup, brief overview, go into depth with some, and also towards the very end, some coaching news. It's been getting pretty loud about Kevin Schnoller, South Carolina. We'll touch on Chris Hart. We didn't touch on that last week, Tobin, when it happened. And also, trying to think anything else. We will not touch on transfer portal too much tonight. We'll have a show about that in the coming weeks. But as me and Reese said on Tuesday, we want to focus on the baseball that's being played right now because we don't have that much longer, and we can talk about transfer portal all the way from mid-June to beginning February. So that's when it's important to me. So I know that's everyone's craze right now about who's leaving, who's coming, but we got all offseason to talk about portal subtractions and additions. But that is enough of me. Braxton, before we get to you, Reed, how's it going, sir? Nice shirt.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm doing well. One more sleep, and we have baseball back. I'm pumped for tomorrow.
That's right. And Braxton, it is good to have you back, sir. I know you had a fun night on Tuesday. Maybe not the outcome that you wanted, but hell of a night for you. All three of us are from Raleigh, so tell us about that and then your regional thoughts.
Yeah, no, first off, just want to thank you guys for holding down the fort. I got the great opportunity to go to a Stanley Cup game, first time in my life. Obviously, it's not been here for 20 years, so that was a really cool experience to go to game one the other night. Electric atmosphere, truly one that I'll never forget. Probably one of the greatest sporting experiences I'll have in my life. Obviously, like you said, Canes did lose, and they're losing again here right now. So I know a lot of people are probably watching that right now if you're live with us. But yeah, in terms of the baseball, I was really fortunate to go to the regional that you guys were at, and I have that same beautiful shirt that Reed has on. It was the merch tents were great. But yeah, I went as a fan. You guys got the great opportunity to be media credentialed, and I was hanging out with you guys some, but also taking my part behind the Carolina dugout as a fan of the Tar Heels, and that was just an awesome experience. I've been fortunate enough to go to pretty much the last 3 years where they've hosted regionals and super regionals. I've got a great buddy of mine that hooks me up with Carolina tickets to a lot of sports. So I'm really thankful for him. Shout out to Davis. But yeah, man, it was an awesome atmosphere. I mean, from game one to game six, like not enough can be said about the Chapel Hill Regional. We knew it was going to be a good one. I mean, when that got drawn on Selection Monday, we knew it was going to be a good one. But I mean, it set the tone early with that ECU and Tennessee game. I mean, we had plans of going, over to Franklin Street in between those games and all this, and the next thing you know, we're in inning 14, and it's like, well, we've got to alter all this. ECU pulls it out though. I mean, what a game, what a win! I could not believe Henry Ford hit that home run, but then I was like, here we go. And credit to ECU though for pulling that out and sending VCU, then sending Tennessee home that next day was electric. I think that really set the tone for the regional. Carolina looked really good on night one. I thought ECU really just played small ball to perfection there in the first 3 innings in that 1-0 matchup. I mean, that's when small ball works. Like a lot of people criticize Cliff Godwin sometimes of bunting too much, but when it works, it's working. And he was putting it in the right spots in terms of like he was bunting guys, putting really good hitters at the plate with runners in scoring position, and they were getting the job done. So I think they played really, really clean baseball there for the first 3 innings. But that swing by Heineck completely changed that regional. I think that was just kind of the moment that really flipped it on its head. And Scott Forbes calls it an offensive timeout, and the next pitch he goes off the batter's eye. Like, that's just really what changed that regional. And Carolina just kind of really went from there and pitched it really well, played good offense. I could mention a bunch of names on here, but I was really impressed with Carolina, and like you said, they're the lone Carolina team left. To touch on some other Carolina teams, I was pretty disappointed in Coastal. I had them winning that regional. They get to the elimination game against Florida State, pitching fluky. They tried to save them, but that was kind of a weird game where it kind of ran into the next day. But you just wouldn't expect a team like Coastal to go what 0-2, in postseason in a regional. And yeah, who knows what the future has for Kevin Schnall. I think there's a lot of rumors, a lot of murmurs on that end, but I think it would be really tough if they end up losing him. I know they've got some guys that are leaving, right? Whether it's graduation or portal or draft. So yeah, just kind of a bitter ending there for Coastal to their season. Citadel, shout out to the Citadel. I heard you guys on the show Tuesday, putting our hands up. I've got to put my hand up. I did not have them that high on my list this year, and they proved why playing that really tough schedule really helped them a lot. And after watching them in the SoCon tournament, I kind of fell in love with this team, and I was really hoping they beat Oklahoma in that first game, and they jumped on them pretty early with like the 3-1 lead, but they end up getting a regional win on a walk-off. Was it Zach Hunt there? So shout out to them getting a regional win, kind of getting their name back as a mid-major program on the national perspective. So I was really proud of that. Yeah, Oklahoma winning that regional was crazy though. That definitely not one I expected. But hey, I kind of want to shift gears here and talk about some non-Carolina teams. I mean, can we just? I'm gonna collect my flowers here for a second. I called UCLA dropping their first game. That one didn't really get a lot of hate just because, UCLA fans don't exist. I think they're all NPCs.
Correct.
But Southern Miss, just absolutely attacked me. And I knew it. I knew it going into it. I knew that was a big fan base. I just had a feeling I knew a host was going to go 2-0, and when I looked at the list of hosts, I looked at that regional and thought Virginia's a tough 2 in my opinion. Like, they didn't have a good regional. Jacksonville State's a really good 3, like borderline 2, and then you got Little Rock, who I knew was like going to be scrappy. So I was like, you know what? I could see Southern Miss just going 2-0 completely unexpectedly. They're going to have a tough game every game they step on the field in this regional. And what do you know? They lose their first game to Little Rock, and then they go down in that crazy game to Virginia. And I look like a genius. And, I had to, I really wanted Upstate to pull it out. Obviously they get their first regional win in their history, which was awesome for me as an Upstate alum. I texted Coach Sweeney, all the boys were fired up. So I was really proud of him and the program. And I thought they played really well. They had a lot given to them. There were some wild pitches, and they really took advantage of mistakes there by Oklahoma State, and also just, I know they kind of didn't when Bama had all those errors in the next game. But, I was really proud to see them compete down to literally the final swing, even in that game. They're that close. They're literally 15 feet from possibly pulling that game out with Armsy to dead center, and then they would be sitting at 2-0, and we could be having a different conversation here. So. Sweeney's 2 for 2 on regionals, and he takes it a step further this year, gets a regional win. Now the next step is to win a regional, get to supers, right? So they've got to continue to build on it, and it's just going to be tough year over year. They've got to continue to rebuild in the portal, recruit really well, and I know that he's going to continue to do a phenomenal job down there. So yeah, really proud of them. I wanted to shout them out, and then who am I even missing here? State. State was disappointing. Like y'all mentioned in the last show, Milwaukee pulling that first game out probably gave some State fans a little bit of false hope there. And they just didn't play well. They didn't pitch well. Let me rephrase that. They hit it fine. They did not pitch well. Anderson Nance had a bad start against UCF, and then the next day Auburn they couldn't get an out. Auburn jumped on them 5 or 6-0, and next thing you know, they're playing a football game. And it was funny. I was sitting at the Carolina game, checking the State score over and over, and I'm sitting to my good buddy next to me who's he's a season ticket holder, sits next to us for the regionals, And we're joking about State, how they're down a touchdown, and then it was 17-13. I was like, yeah, they just kicked a field goal. Like it was a crazy game that the box score showed there. So they end up going 2-0. Avon with his hat toss to send him off was pretty cool. But I mean, we got to pay our respect to Avon. Hell of a coach. 30 years in this business is unbelievable with what he did there. 3 times to Omaha, just really, and I think he had a bigger impact more on like just not only like what he did on the field, but I think a lot of his players talk about kind of how the man he is, off the field, and I think he really molded men there in that program for 30 years. And so I just want to give him some flowers and give him some credit because to do that for 30 years and have that much success and have that many guys come back and talk about you that way, like, they're not just making that stuff up. Like that's a true legend of the sport. And, just absolute respect there to Coach Avon. But yeah, not the way they wanted to end the year. They were borderline getting in there, but they get to play in Auburn again, which I was surprised about. And then Wake Forest is the last thing that I haven't talked about in the Carolinas. I, like Reed, thought they would play a lot better. I thought they would pull this regional out. I was a little bit skeptical because I wanted to pick WVU. Like I've got a soft spot for the Mounties. Just going to school there for 4 years in the state. But yeah, credit to that Mountaineer crowd. I knew they would bring it. They haven't hosted a regional since 2019, so I knew that it would be a big time crowd there. And yeah, they, I don't think Wake necessarily played bad. They really stunk that they lost that first game to Kentucky. I think if they win that game, it's a different regional. But Kentucky was a bit of a surprise. I was begging them not to win that regional because they did not deserve to be in the tournament, and thank God WVU pulled it out. So. But yeah, like y'all touched on as well, the amount of upsets was awesome. This is why we love college baseball. It happens every year. And it was just so cool to just take in all that action in Chapel Hill and then go home and watch Squeeze play until midnight. And that's just the weekend that we live for. And I had a blast. So I really appreciate all the support we've gotten to as well. Able to get our credentials for the regionals was really cool. So I was happy y'all got to experience that. And we're just gonna keep growing from here, man. But now we've got super regionals to lock in on, and I'm gonna be fortunate enough to go on Saturday. I will not make tomorrow's game. I did just start a new job, so I'm working tomorrow. So I'll be trying to keep up with the action as best I can when I get off work tomorrow. But yeah, I'll be there on boots on ground as a fan on Saturday. So excited for that. And yeah, let's get the Heels to Omaha. That would be great to return them. We need a team in Omaha, at least one. I would hate to go here without a Carolina team in Omaha. So
yeah, Braxton, would you mind sharing the winning lottery numbers too after your bold predictions?
I can promise you, if I had those, I would not be sharing those with Mr. Reed Tobin.
First of all, Braxton, congrats on your new job. Very, very happy for you there, sir. And yeah, Braxton, you hit on all the points right there. Reed, any other housekeeping things before we get into previews?
No, I think that was a good recap by Braxton there. So yeah, we can move on to the supers.
And we do have good news again. I would like to announce me and Reed Tobin have been approved for credentials for this weekend. So me and Reed will be back on site in Chapel Hill tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Shout out Madeline, the SID for UNC. She has been absolutely great to work with, very supportive. So appreciate her. Reed, looking forward to another great weekend of great baseball. I'll be able to catch the first couple of innings tomorrow, and then Saturday the whole game, and then Sunday, depending on if they play or not, I will be able to be there. But Reed, since they're the Lone Carolina team, let's go ahead and preview them first. And Reed, I want to start off. Let's start off with talking about USC here. And in doing my research, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys on the College Station All-Regional team. And the most outstanding player is it Aju Lopez?
Augie
Lopez. He hit 2 home runs, was phenomenal at the plate for them. And Reed, the main highlight that I am seeing on their Twitter and looking through the box scores is the bullpen did its job, and also they scored a fair amount of runs. And it's confirmed that Mason Edwards is starting tomorrow, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, with USC, like you said, scoring a lot of runs this weekend. In Big Ten play, they were eighth in the conference in runs scored per game. And then, they lose the first game in heartbreak fashion last weekend to Texas State on the walk-off there. And then the offense just absolutely exploded, outscoring opponents 55-14 in those 4 games to get out of the regional too. Like you said, Augie Lopez was sensational. He's been their best hitter all year, but really the strength of USC has been the pitching all year. If you haven't heard the name Mason Edwards, well, you're going to learn it tomorrow. He's been sensational all year. I mean, has a case to probably win the Golden Spikes Award. 8-0 on the year, 1.85 ERA, 164 strikeouts, which leads the country. He was, though, I think he had his worst start of the season, though, this past weekend, something to keep an eye on against Texas State.
He did, yes, Reed, but I will note that he started the game off with 4 shutout innings, and then that 5th inning kind of imploded there. Gave up 5 earned runs in the 5th, only struck out 4, walked 4 as well. So he did not get the win there, but he had a clean first 4 innings into the 5th. But Reed, like, this is just hold on, reading that one wrong. Hold on. Is that the same box score? No, you're right. But yes, they did pitch him off, Reed, and granted that it worked out to them in the long run. But he did not pitch that first game, and it was against Lamar Reed. Lamar hit him hard in the 5th inning.
Yeah. I mean, we've touched on the pitching off and everything like that. USC elected not to start him. I mean, their number 2 starter, Grant Cavell, on the season too, has been spectacular as well. He's 11-2 on the year. He's thrown 105 innings this year, 2.82 ERA, and then 102 strikeouts. So, I mean, they've got a really formidable 1-2 punch, and then that bullpen too. Is really good. But you know what? I'll be curious. They're flying straight from College Station to Chapel Hill too, which I mean, no point of really going back to LA. With travel and everything like that. But yeah, we'll see how they adjust to the East Coast. But I think this is going to be a really tough matchup for Carolina. We saw Carolina last year go up against a West Coast team, and we saw what happened last year.
Actually, before you go, want to touch on a Grant Goal start. He did get the start versus Texas State. He went 5 2/3, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks. So not terrible, not absolutely terrible. Trying to see right now if he came back. He did come back and pitch that final winner take all game, 4 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. So the strikeout number is not there, but definitely limiting the damage. And lastly, Reed, I hear what you're saying about the travel, but I also think this team is used to that, playing in the Big Ten, traveling all across the East Coast. So I guess all across the country. So I guess that is the one plus, that they are maybe used to those long road trips, because of how crazy the conferences are now.
Yeah, something to keep in mind too, though, is before this weekend too, beating A&M. USC, obviously, we know they got off to the really hot start this season. I forget what they started, like 27-1 or something like that. They were 32-1 at home, but quad one wins were pretty much the reason why they did not host a regional. You look at their record right now. Oh, they have 47 wins. Why did they not host? Well, they didn't really have any big series wins. They were swept at home against UCLA. I believe they lost that Oregon series too. Got swept by Nebraska too. So yeah, it'll be none of that matters now. But after what we saw, what they did to A&M, I mean, they weren't really even tested in those 2 games. But yeah, I mean, if USC pitches like they have all season, and then, if that offense shows up that showed up those last 4 games in College Station, I mean, this is going to be really tough for Carolina.
Braxton.
Yeah, I don't think that this is if they flew in already to Chapel Hill, they would have had a couple of days, probably 2 or 3 practices already in Chapel Hill. So I think that will do them a world of good. Just kind of getting used to the facilities, the field, adjusting to the time zone. But I was really impressed with them pulling this regional out. I thought I thought Carolina was going to end up facing A&M for sure. Um, but I'm really excited to see this Edwards versus Lynch matchup tomorrow. I mean, that is going to be huge. This is arguably, like you said, Reed, one of the best pitchers in the country. And I really look for Carolina to really have a good game plan. I think they've hit good pitching pretty well this year. So I think their offense will be able to scratch some runs on Edwards, if not at least get his pitch count up and maybe get someone else in there. But I think the important part for Carolina, their key to them winning the series is to kind of again map out their pitching really well. I think you've got so many weapons in the bullpen that you can trust. I mean, obviously Glauber, obviously McDuffie, but even like Jackson Rose and even Mateus, you might be able to get some big innings out of. Like you've got guys you can trust there. So I think you really need to piece together, whether it's a Glauber game on Friday after Lynch and then a McDuffie game on Saturday, or, and then, I mean, you still have Rose and then possibly Glauber to come back if you do that too on Sunday if you need him, right? Like, so I'm really interested to see what Forbes does. I was kind of not surprised to see Lynch be the guy for Friday after starting last Friday and looking good. DeCaro, I expect to bounce back, especially, if if we go up a game, I think he'll kind of rise to that occasion and have a huge start on Saturday. If we do lose, it's imperative that he does have a good start on Saturday, obviously. So yeah, that's kind of where my head's at in terms of previewing this one. I think the pitching, kind of like Carolina's pitching order, is going to really matter, and just being able to keep this USC offense at bay because we know that USC is going to pitch it really well. But like I said, Carolina hits good pitching well, in my opinion. I think they go up there. They have great technology in terms of like preparing to hit these pitchers, and you saw it many times this year. There's a reason they've won. What is it now? 48 games. Like they come ready to hit, and that's a complete credit to the offensive style and offensive coaching that they've gotten. I credit maybe Scott Jackson there. I mean, like this team has just blown me away offensively and with what they've been able to do. Jake Schaffner is that kid is so underrated still, and I know he's rated highly by Pro Scouts, probably in the
He
top.
might be playing himself into a late first-round pick.
Yeah, I think he's a top 200 prospect right now, or top 100 maybe. But like that dude is, I think he's the best shortstop, possibly right up there, other than obviously Chalowski and some of those guys, maybe LeBron. But like he has impressed me so much with the way that he hits. He plays incredible defense. He obviously steals a ton of bags too. Like he's a true 4 or 5 tool player, and I've just been really impressed with the way he's played. And then obviously Owen Hull too, his ability to drive in runs and just provide that his tools on the basis as well. So, and then you've got Gavin Gallagher. Like I said, he would be an X factor, and here we are. He's hitting what 400 or 500 again in regional play. Like those first 3 batters, not to mention Nicholson and Paulson and all these guys at the bottom that have been playing well. Like Carolina's offense is scary, man. Like it really, really is, and they've got to perform here and rise to the occasion against Edwards, whoever else they're going to throw out there. So yeah, I'm super super stoked for this series. I'll be there Saturday, so hopefully it's 1-0 Carolina when I'm there, and maybe we end up seeing a Sunday game too. But yeah, let's hope that Lynch has his best stuff tomorrow, just like he did last week against VCU. Because man, he looked good last week too. I mean, he was touching 97. He was touching 98 the week we saw him at State Reed. So
Yeah.
I look for. If I had to predict it, I would say Carolina gets it done in 2. I just think this team's really hot right now, especially at home. They're going to have the crowd behind them. I think they find a way to win tomorrow, maybe a closer ball game. And then I think they just blow it away on Saturday. So that's my prediction for the series.
Yeah, you mentioned Mateus too. I mean, I don't know how much we're going to see him this weekend, but I thought in that 9th inning against VCU on Friday, that was the best maybe he's looked all season. since he had Tommy John surgery. Definitely could be an X factor out of the bullpen too. If the series goes to Sunday or whatnot. But yeah, I think the key for Carolina though is Jason DeCaro. He's got to get back to how he's been all season. Didn't have his best stuff last weekend against ECU, but Caden Glauber picked him up and they were able to get the win too. But yeah, he really struggled in the ACC tournament. Virginia Tech hit him really well there too. But if Carolina wants to win a national title this year, they're going to need DeCaro to get back to how he's been all season.
And I was talking with some people there this weekend, and I was talking with the Inside Carolina guy, and he was saying that part of the reason that Lynch made that start on Friday, he thinks, is because of DeCaro's struggles in the postseason the last few years. I mean, I'm looking because he was talking about Arizona, and I pulled it up right here. Versus Arizona last year in that game, 3 2/3, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, and no strikeouts. So I also think that may be part of it, but it also gives DeCaro an opportunity to bounce back. And I also think not going against Mason Edwards on Saturday, maybe on Friday, and Ryan Lynch in the final game, the one that they lost to, but not his fault. He
was sensational that game.
He went 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 Ks.
Yeah. That was a career high too. In innings pitched too, I believe last year from.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and McDuffie pitched in both of those games. I mean, McDuffie, holy cow,
they kept going to McDuffie last year in any scenario.
His pitch count these last 2 years, man, holy smokes, it's up.
They're kind of running that with Glauber now. The stat keeps popping up where when Glauber pitches, Carolina's like 24-0, which is absolutely absurd. But the key for DeCaro, I think, Cation, is like, and this is kind of giving more of a baseball perspective to our viewers. Like, for him to be successful, he's got to locate his off speed and command all of his pitches, because he's not an overpowering velocity guy. He's going to sit about 92 to 94, 95 maybe, from what I've seen for the most part. And like, that's, in this day and age, like, that's very hittable if you're not locating well. And I think that's where he kind of has his struggles, is he's not locating his slider and changeup as well as he has when he's on. And, when he's on, he's on. Like, when he's commanding those pitches, he's just a good pitcher. Like, he's pitching. And when he's not, his stuff isn't good enough to where it's like unhittable, and these really good college hitters are going to hit it. And so I think that for him to be successful, in his start here, he's got to be able to command, all of his pitches. And, you need to see that from inning 1, right? Like, I think, who was it? ECU? Yeah, ECU the other night, like, just really jumped on him, kind of got him moving around, making plays with the small ball too. Like, I thought they did a tremendous job, especially being that they struggled when they faced him in Greenville. So it just goes to show, like, I think on the other end of the spectrum, like, Lynch has really, really good stuff that misses bats more often, where, like, if his command isn't all the way there, it's still going to be really tough to hit because he's got the sink and he's throwing 98. Like, you got to think about it from that perspective too. Like, as a hitter, like, these guys, you've got to be, if you don't have the best stuff and the highest velo, like, you have to command so well with these college hitters.
Yeah, and I look at what Jason DeCaro did. I mean, just as a true freshman 2 years ago, he pitched in game 2 against West Virginia in that super regional when Carolina clinched. He had a great outing that game. They wanted a low runs scoring affair, and that to clinch their ticket to Omaha. So yeah, he needs to learn off his experience he's had pitching in these big moments the past 2 years. But he's really struggled with a lot of walks here too over his last 2 starts. Like you said, Braxton, if he can locate his off-speed pitches, I think he'll have a good weekend.
Yeah, and that's basically the conversation I had with people at the Boston. Like, they were saying how people kind of outside were saying it was a shock that Ryan Lynch got to start game 1, but most people there were not too shocked about it, considering it was VCU as well. And he was saying that's no slight to VCU, but they just said that they legit just thought they had a better shot out the gate with Ryan Lynch, with Ryan Lynch taking the ball game 1 to assure you don't go to the losers bracket. And in hindsight, that was a great decision because, I mean, look at all the fours that look at all the ones that pitched off this past weekend and dropped games.
I mean, it's just also just a testament to how much of a luxury it is to have a 1A and 1B. Like
Absolutely.
to have a guy like Ryan Lynch that's literally basically an ace that you can just say, "Yep, we're gonna roll him out Friday, no problem."
Yeah, and it's the same thing with Southern California with Grant and Mason.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, Mason Edwards is the pitcher of the year in the country, but I mean the other guy got a sub-3 ERA with right under 100 Ks. I mean, not many teams in the country are going to have that. So I mean, I'm glad Mason Edwards is going tomorrow. It's going to be absolute fireworks at the Bosch tomorrow. Just phenomenal matchup. Not too thrilled about the game time. Little disappointed by that. But I think that's just how the cookie crumbles when it comes to this kind of thing. But I mean, like, I'm trying to see the TV schedule. I mean, Ole Miss, Auburn, 8, shocker. SEC.
I'm done guessing Carolina's super regional time. 2 years ago against West Virginia, they get the 8 o'clock games. And then, last year they have a West Coast team. I'm like, all right, well, yeah, they'll have another night series. And then, all those games were at noon against Arizona. So I'm done guessing TV schedule.
Yeah, let's watch St. John's, Alabama at 9. Morgantown. But yeah, any other Braxton said his prediction. I will give my prediction. I think UNC takes game 1 tomorrow, and then Southern California takes game 2, and then UNC takes it in 3. I think UNC wins on Sunday. I'm honestly hoping for a third game because I want to watch more baseball at the Bosch. I had such a fantastic time. So that's my selfish opinion. But Reed.
I think it's going to come down tomorrow. If USC wins tomorrow with Mason Edwards, I think it goes to 3. But if Carolina hits them well tomorrow, I'm with Braxton. I think they'll win that and then take care of business handily on Saturday. But I could see tomorrow going anywhere.
All right. Be sure to look out at Carolina Curve BB, our social media, for our regional pick'em, super regional pick'em. Excuse me. We will have that out. And boys, ready to get in. Look at that. Perfect at 32 minutes. The first half is about the Heels, our last team. Y'all ready to get into the rest of the Supers?
Let's do it.
Braxton, you touched on it. So glad Kentucky did not come out of Morgantown. But I will say, I was talking with Steve and I watching it at my apartment when Kentucky was playing pretty well going with that regional. We just said, of course. The last team in SEC team is going to make the Super Regionals, but I'm so glad they gritted it out and won. And the West Virginia AD, their Super Regionals are sold out, so he's promoting going to watch it at a local pizza bar. And Randy Mazey said he was going to give the first 1,000 people there slices of pizza and all this stuff. So, I mean, West Virginia, I mean, if you have nowhere to be this weekend, head to Morgantown. It's going to be a lecture.
Well, they've also got that, like, they showed it on the broadcast multiple times, but there's like that hill side where like fans were literally just sitting there for free. Like, pack that hill out, and if you can get out there early, like whatever. Like, I will say, like West Virginia, I've been to some football games up there. They have one of the best like tailgating atmospheres in all of college sports. They call it the Blue Lot, and I don't know if that. I don't think it's near the baseball stadium, but like just the overall just athletics of that school is incredible. It is an absolute party all the time, and I knew that was going to be fireworks. Like when I saw that game, that 5-run ninth they had to win that first game against Kentucky in the championship round, like was just so like West Virginia, Morgantown-esque. Like it was just perfect, and I knew they were going to pull this one out. I also just like really like their squad. Like they've kind of been building this thing the last few years. Like one of my West Virginia buddies that's a Mountie fan, he texted me and said, "Do you know who the only 2 teams are that have won 3 straight regionals?" And it's North Carolina and West Virginia.
Yep.
So that they're the only 2 teams that have won regionals the last 3 years. And West Virginia, of course, did it on the road the last 2 years. They host this year, and like you mentioned, Jason, Randy Mazey was in that first year. Then they lose to North Carolina in Supers. However, And then they go back to, and they went into the Clemson regional last year, or no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clemson regional.
What was the regional they were in? It was the Arizona one, I think, Tucson.
Yeah. 2 years ago.
Arizona was the one, I think, and then they played Carolina in the Supers, and last year was Clemson, and they lose in Supers again. So now this year, I believe that is that wrong?
Hold on. Was it 2 years ago they were at Kentucky?
No, they played Kentucky and Clemson last year, and they were down big in that game and came back
yes,
and
they
won.
played Kentucky
And then
2
played
years
at
in a row.
LSU. Played LSU in the Supers.
Yeah, that's right. But they played Kentucky in the last two regionals.
Yeah.
I think both were regional championships, or was
They
Clemson?
were. Yeah, they both were.
So they kind of have Kentucky's number here, and yeah, Randy Mazey, like you said, like I saw him on the broadcast at one of the games. We actually played WVU on a midweek, my D2 school, back when we were. They needed a game, and we played them. We gave him a really good game, but he was a tremendous coach then, and he was the year after, and he just kind of handed that program there to their assistant, and he's done a really, really good job. I'm blanking on his name right now, but
Steve Savins.
Steve Savins, thank you, Reed. He's done a tremendous job. Just kind of taking the baton from Mazey, and I mean, look where they're at now. Like they're
He's
honestly
young too.
favorite. They're going to be a favorite in this series to go to Omaha against Cal Poly. So I'm picking the Mounties. I know my boy that I was talking about, Sam's going to be pissed because he always likes to get on me when I don't pick WVU. So now I'm flipping the script and picking them, and if they lose, it's going to be blamed on me now. So, but yeah, if I could choose somewhere to go that wasn't Chapel Hill, it's Morgantown all day here.
I agree.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just in my own head here doing research because I was like, hold on, I think I got it. Hold on, because I remember what team the Clemson. You're right, they were in the Clemson regional because I think it was in 24. Yes, it was upstate too. I think it was in 24. Remember when Kentucky had to send their team? Teams found it. Yep, the Lexington found it.
That's when they had them in dorms.
Yeah, in 2024, it was they had them in dorms because that's what I was thinking about because they said it on the broadcast and I don't think West Virginia was there, but they said on the broadcast West Virginia was there and I was like, no, they were not. That's what I was thinking. That.
So what year was that?
24. Illinois, Indiana State, and Western Michigan.
When Kentucky was like the number 2 overall seed.
No, it was not. No, because it was Kentucky, Illinois, Western Michigan, and Indiana State.
So we're okay. So West Virginia was in Tucson.
Yeah,
West Virginia was in Tucson. Yes.
Yeah, and I remember that was paired with Carolina, so that would make sense that they played Carolina in the Super, and then I was at that series.
Yes.
Carolina went to Omaha. So yeah.
Correct. Reed, haven't touched on Cal Poly.
Yeah, I mean, credit to Cal Poly, for getting through UCLA's regional. Obviously, they
getting gifted.
Yeah, obviously they didn't have to play UCLA, which was a huge
crazy,
huge gift. But they find themselves in a super regional, and we've seen some good Cal Poly teams over the years here in the past. But one crazy stat I found was. The Virginia Tech win this past weekend was their first win all season against a power conference team.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, they could pitch the ball pretty decently. Griffin Nass and Carson Turnquist, we've seen some of these West Coast teams over the years give some of these East Coast teams fits. So, I mean, Morgantown's going to be rocking, obviously, tomorrow. I mean, it's a tall task at hand. But, if they can rely on their strong pitching and scrape some runs together, Ryan Taman, he leads them in home runs with 19, then you never know. But, yeah, I really like West Virginia, Gavin Kelly too. And, I like their 1-2 of Max Yell and Chanson Cole. But, yeah, Gavin Kelly, I think he's probably going to be a top 10 pick next year. He's one of the best catchers in the country right now here as a sophomore.
I got West Virginia 2-1.
Yeah, what time do you think the tailgating starts tomorrow in Morgantown? 6 a.m.?
It's already begun.
Yeah, probably.
What are y'all's picks?
West Virginia. I'll go 2-0.
I've got them 2-0 too as well.
All right. And the Battle of the Trojans. Troy and Little Rock. Maybe
Little Rock and
maybe Trojan should be the lead sponsor for this. That'd be a really
Three Trojans.
That would be a really good one. There are 3 Trojans, Tobin, indeed.
All the Trojans in the country.
Excuse me, Tobin?
There's got to be
There's three. No, there's 3 teams in the country with the nickname Trojans, and they're
Is
all
that
in the
just
Super.
D1?
Yeah, D1. They're all in the Super Regional.
Wow.
You may be true on that. Little Rock sweeps the Hattiesburg Regional, and Troy.
What is San Jose State?
Spartans, right?
You're right.
Yes.
Yeah. Trying to stump Reed.
Can't get it.
Yeah. Did you want me to talk about Troy, Casey? Because
yeah,
I really, we played against Troy when I was at Upstate. We went down to Troy, Alabama, played a series there. I was like super impressed when we played there with just the way their program operated. Like they were legit, man. Like Skylar Meade, I think he was his first or second year when we played there, and he's just impressed me as a young coach in here. And for him to get this team 30-loss season to a super regional, go to Gainesville and double dip Florida like that was first of all, it was great to see. Like I really enjoyed just watching Florida lose, and also just like I was high on Troy the last couple of years. I wasn't as high on them this year. I just thought there were better teams in the Sun Belt, but here they are, the last Sun Belt team remaining. It's not Southern Miss, it's not Coastal, it's not Texas State, and it's not Louisiana. It's Troy Trojans, and I was shocked. Absolutely shocked when they got in the tournament. I just did not expect to even see that name. Like we did all our projections read. I don't think we had Troy in one of them.
No.
And here they are in super regionals against Little Rock with a good chance to go to Omaha. And if Skylar Meade hasn't been getting calls already, he will be, especially if he's in Omaha. Like he's been kind of a name that's popped up for a lot of SEC jobs. Like I know the Tennessee job, people wanted him to get that one, or obviously Arkansas and South Carolina were some names too, or his name was being thrown around those jobs. So I think if he really has a good performance here in Omaha, like you could see him maybe jump ship. But I mean, just what he's done with that Troy program, and I watched them play a little bit against Florida that last night. They absolutely boat raced them. Like it was like 10-2. Like they just completely outplayed them, and it was just awesome to see. So I was really impressed with this Troy team, and I think I haven't spoken Little Rock, but I know they're feisty, and I did not expect them to win a regional, but I did expect them to get a win, obviously against Southern Miss, which they did, and they ended up sweeping this regional.
Yes.
And, it's going to be tough to pick against them because like they've kind of been a story of the last 2 years where they gave LSU probably the best game, or their only loss, right? I think.
Yeah, correct.
Of the regional round, or of the whole tournament probably, and I just think like it's hard to pick against them, but I'm going to go with Troy here. I just think Skylar Meade, and they're at home, right? So, which by the way is a decent ballpark. They're going to absolutely pack
Very
that
nice
out in the outfield, and they chirp. Let me tell you, they chirp out there hard. Like they are it's a rowdy Southern school, and they will be grilling out there all day tomorrow and chirping. And I'm going to take Troy in 3 games here to win 2-1 and go to Omaha for the first time.
Troy started their season dropping their first 2 games to Mercer, and one of them was a run rule loss to Mercer. And then they go and get walloped by Mississippi State. They come to Greenville this year, lose to Western Carolina 4-3, lose to ECU 5-2. Just talk about a roller coaster of a season for them. 36-30. 15-11 at home, but 15-15 on the road. I think that is pretty solid. 15 road wins on the year is pretty good. They get to host this week. Reed, you're the only one who saw this team in person this year on this call. I mean, what a gritty bunch.
Yeah, when I saw them back in Greenville all the way back in February, they really struggled. They lost, like you said, they lost to Western too, and ECU handled them pretty easily. But, I just think back to the Sun Belt tournament, Braxton and Kaysen, in that game against Southern Miss, they're up, and then they give up the walk-off grand slam to Southern Miss too, and they have to come back the next day and win 2 games just to get to the Sun Belt Championship. If they don't win either of one of those games, they're not hearing their name called into the tournament on Selection Monday. They end up losing a close game to Southern Miss in the Sun Belt, and then they lose their first game to Miami too, and like USC, then they just absolutely boat raced everyone. They scored 50 runs in those 4 games too after losing the first. Jimmy Janecki, their catcher, he puts up massive numbers.
He has 19 bombs on the year,
85 RBIs on the season. So it's been really cool to see what this Troy teams did, and considering the fact I believe they were in the first 4 out the past 2 seasons too. So hearing their name called on the right side of the bubble too this year, being in their first ever super regional. Not only that, they're hosting a super regional against a 4 seed Little Rock. What a chance they have to go to Omaha. And like you said, Braxton, huge fan of Skylar Meade. I think he will definitely hear his name called somewhere to the SEC in the near future.
I also want to shout out Jimmy Janicki. He was Sunbelt freshman, preseason Sunbelt freshman year last year. Had a phenomenal season last year, and he came back to Troy this past season. Don't know if he's draft eligible this year. I'm not getting anything. He's a sophomore, but credit to him for sticking with Troy, coming back.
Yeah, he's a top 20 prospect next year.
Yeah, so hopefully he stays at Troy. Will he? Probably not, because he'd probably get a 6-figure paycheck somewhere, but we'll see. I got Troy 2-1.
I agree, but this Little Rock team is not going to go down easily. Braxton touches what they did last year too in the LSU regional too, and then I think people are forgetting. They swept through the Southern Miss Hattiesburg regional. I think they definitely can give Troy. They can absolutely win the super regional, and I think it's going to be an awesome super regional and a great atmosphere.
Got anything else, Braxton?
No, we can go to the next one.
Okay. Auburn and Ole Miss. Reed, I know you're pumped about this one. I have Ole Miss taking it 2-0 versus Auburn. Just not a fan of this Auburn team. And Ole Miss going into Lincoln in that atmosphere, defeating them in that big moment for Nebraska. I just got Ole Miss taking this one.
Well, the good news is, Kason, yes, it's 2 SEC teams in a super regional, but one will be going home, so one less in Omaha. It's going to be a fascinating super regional. They didn't play in the regular season too. Obviously, we saw what Auburn did last weekend, losing that first game to Milwaukee, which shocked everyone. Their pitching really struggled those first few games in that regional, but the story was Chase Fralick on Auburn. 6 home runs in the regional, homered in every single game. It's the second time I've seen this season that he's had a stretch of 5+ games with a home run. First player in this past decade to do it. Just video game numbers he's putting up right now. But it's going to be tough. I think this series goes 3 games. You look at Ole Miss, what they did in Lincoln too, the big bats of Tristan Becerra and Judd Uttermark. It should be a really exciting series.
Your pick?
I'm going to go with Auburn 2-1. I think the pitching will bounce back. They have better pitching depth than Ole Miss. I'm gonna lean Auburn.
Okay. There you go, Toby. Braxton?
Listen, and our boy Caleb Conley might not like this, but I'm on Operation Auburn Hate Watch after that press conference I saw with Coach Butch Thompson. I sent it to you guys.
It's ridiculous.
Just complaining about the regional format. Are we serious right now?
Don't lose your first game.
Yeah, maybe try not losing your first game for one. Maybe for 2, try developing a bullpen so you don't have to rely on 1 or 2 guys. That's literally the point of recruiting in college baseball. Like, the regional format is perfect. Everyone knows if you win that first of all, you got to win the first game. So you already put yourself in a hole there, and again, like he's complaining about guys not getting rest. It's like, well, no one said you had to use a guy 2 times in the weekend. You're supposed to have 8, 9, 10 pitchers if you're deep pitching staff that you can go to and trust and throw out there. Like, I just thought that was completely stupid and delusional and soft in my opinion. And so I'm hate watching Auburn officially. So give me Ole Miss here. Give me them two out of three. I think Auburn probably wins the game at home, but I just like that really irritated me seeing that, and not a lot of things really do irritate me. So yeah, we're gonna go with Ole Miss here, 2 out of 3.
Yeah, and a newsflash, buddy, you're in the SEC and have more resources than nearly
No, it was
95% of the program. You
what
should
are
be
we
able.
doing?
Quickly, Tobin, I'm taking Mississippi State 2 over Georgia. Was not a fan of Trey Phelps. What he did this weekend, just completely unnecessary. Karma, I think, is going to bite him in the tail this weekend, and they lose to Mississippi State. And Brian O'Connor is back in Omaha.
Yeah, well, he is suspended for the first game
Good.
this weekend.
Good.
I haven't seen anything. Do you know, Braxton, if Wes Johnson is suspended too?
Let me see. I'll look it up right now.
I don't think he will be, but I think Phelps will.
Yeah, Phelps 100% is not
Typically
playing
the
game
player, typically the coach, unless they literally say when they're ejecting him, if the ump like literally says that's a suspension or whatever, then typically the coach can come back the next game, but the player has to sit out, I think, the next game automatically.
Interesting. Yeah, so we'll see if that plays a big factor. I mean, certainly Trey Phelps, I mean, the numbers speak for himself and everything like that. But, Georgia, I mean, they've been red hot, the past month. I mean, pretty much all season, Daniel Jackson, Triple Crown. And the SEC, too, that crowd's going to be rocking. I think it goes 3 games. I think Mississippi State wins the first game, too. I think Georgia will be missing Trey Phelps. I think the key for Mississippi State is, how will Ryan McPherson be out of the bullpen? We saw a much better version of him this past weekend in the Starkville Regional, and those bats too absolutely came alive. I touched on the last showcase, and they were really struggling coming into regional play. I think they had lost 4 out of their last 5 series, but you're starting to see some better Bulldog baseball too, and it's going to be a really fun weekend in Athens.
Wes Johnson will be coaching. He is not suspended, but Phelps is.
I've been also seeing a lot of Georgia fans crying on social media that they have to play Mississippi State. Sorry, that's how the bracket works.
I take no sympathy from that shit. I'm not taking no sympathy from that shit.
It's just because there's like 4 seeds in here and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of Georgia, Mississippi State fan, Texas too, crying that the Super should be reseeded. I mean, get the hell out of here with that nonsense.
Reseeded?
Yes.
I've not seen that. Braxton,
just search it up on Twitter.
No, it's a topic of discussion, and I just like Reed said, the bracket's the bracket. Like you play who you play. Yeah, I'm gonna go Mississippi State here. I was high on this team all year. I had them in my preseason Omaha 8, and I picked against them in the regional. I thought Louisiana would. Was it Louisiana? Yeah. I thought Louisiana would pull that one out, and I'm gonna go back to the well here. I'm gonna go with Mississippi State. I just think they're better. I think, like Kaysen points out, like Georgia just has this weird they don't finish the job. It seems like this time of year, and with Phelps suspension too. Like, yes, they're at home, but I think Mississippi State doesn't have a problem going into an SEC environment. Like, they're used to that. I think they've got big time players. Shout out Noah Sullivan, Ace Reese is a stud for them. I just think that I really like this Mississippi State squad. O'Connor's done a great job this year. They've kind of just steadied the ship, even though they've sunk some. They've been able to pull it back up, and they were able to host a regional and get out of it, and they're kind of still flying under the radar a little bit here. And now they get to play. People are arguing that Georgia is the favorite to win it all right now, which is a fair argument with the season they've had. But I'm gonna pick them to get up. I guess you could call it an upset here with Mississippi State 2 out of 3.
That's a good point you make, Braxton, too. With Georgia's history too, I believe the last time they went to Omaha was 2008. I think Mississippi State can really lean on Brian O'Connor's experience that he's had at Virginia.
Talking about a coach and a program that's won a national championship.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Virginia make some incredible runs too over the years with him at the helm. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really fascinating series.
Texas, Oregon. Tobin, your initial thoughts?
I think it's going to be a really fun matchup. I was really impressed with what Oregon did this past weekend too, in the Eugene regional. Especially pitching the ball. They gave up 3 runs all weekend. I look at that 1-0 game too when Will Stanford absolutely mowed through the Wazoo lineup, gave up 1 hit and like 6 2/3, 14 strikeouts too. It's a dangerous lineup too. They've got a lot of power in that lineup too. But I think they're going to have their hands full too. Texas looked really good this past weekend. Granted, I thought they had probably the easiest regional of any team. Maybe Alabama is the other one. No disrespect, Braxton, but looking at Texas and then looking what Anthony Pack did this weekend too. He was the freshman sensation. But I think this is going to be a really fun series. I think this one's going to go 3 games.
Yeah,
I got Texas 2-1.
But I think the Texas pitching is just a little better than Oregon's.
Yeah, I'm taking Texas 2-0. This kind of feels like a college football playoff matchup with Texas and Oregon the last few years. But I love this Texas squad. I've been so high on them all year. I just enjoy watching them play. Aiden Robbins is electric. That kid is so good. He's so powerful. I think he had 2 home runs in the game that Pack hit 3 home runs just kind of quietly, whatever. Plays a tremendous outfield with the glove too. He's just an absolute stud. I don't even know where he's at. I haven't looked at draft boards that closely, but I'm sure is he a first rounder, Reed? That kid's
I believe. Let's see.
Or is he it's a draft year for him, right? I need to.
Yeah, he'll be one of the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, so that kid's incredible. Pack's a freshman that's done unbelievable. I'm just way higher on this Texas squad than I am this Oregon team. But Oregon will fight. I think they'll make it a game, at least in one of those games. But I just like Texas's pitching. I like their offense. I like their crowd behind them too. Give me the Longhorns to take care of business here and get to Omaha like they've pretty much been favored to do all year.
You said that was a college football playoff matchup. How about a March Madness matchup? Alabama, St. John's. Yeah. That would be a really good basketball game. St. John's sweeping the Tallahassee Regional, and then Alabama sweeping their own regional. And not many people, the Carolina Curveball crew did not have Alabama taking that regional. We got let known about that. And also the next one. Kansas fans are all over us about not picking them to win their regional. But, hey, it is what it is.
My apologies, Jayhawks.
I don't apologize. I did not think they were going to be Arkansas. Just to be completely honest with you.
I also just don't I have no sorry feelings for Kansas sports fans.
I 100% agree too. Goodness gracious, your football team's finally good, and your basketball team speaks for itself. So you're fine. But Alabama, St. John's, Reed. Can the Cinderella story continue for St. John's?
I think they have a good chance. Most people are giving them no chance this weekend, but the St. John's team is red hot. They started the season 1-10 on the year. They've won their last 8 games too. You look at the offense too. Adam Agresti, too, their best hitter. I believe he's got 20 home runs on the year. He hits the go-ahead grand slam on Monday against Florida State to propel them to victory too. And then pitching too. They've got a guy too, and Liam O'Leary too, over 100 innings on the year too, 3.25 ERA. Not a big strikeout guy, but he can definitely work himself out of tough situations. And then you look at the way Alabama played defense this past weekend. I thought they were pretty fortunate to get out of that regional undefeated. Look what they did against Upstate. 6 errors in that game. It's unfortunate Upstate wasn't able to take advantage of some of those errors too. And then, of course, they hit the go-ahead home run too against Oklahoma State in the regional title game. With Alabama, they haven't been to Omaha in a long time. You got the head coach pleading for fans to show up to the ballpark to watch them. Give me St. John's this weekend. I really like what I saw this weekend. I think the fairy tale run continues with them.
Yeah, give me the Johnnies in 3.
I'm kind of back and forth on this one. Like Reed said, I'm not like that impressed with the Bama team, but I think they have a decent matchup here. I like the Johnnies too. I did say on the preview show to watch out for the Johnnies. I thought they had upset potential, so another prediction pretty much right on there. But yeah, I am gonna take Bama. I hate it. I absolutely hate it, but they're just going to be a little bit better, I think, just overall talent wise. And, they've got a really special player in Justin LeBron, too. I know he's not had a great year, but I think that he's still a very good pro prospect. And I just think that overall they've got up and down that lineup and pitching staff. They're going to just be a little bit stronger. Playing at home, too, they'll be comfortable. I do think this goes to 3 games, though. I think the Johnnies find a way to win one, maybe like a 10-8 type of game. But yeah, I'm just gonna pick Bama. I absolutely hate it because every part of me wants to pick the Johnnies, but I'm trying to go 8 for 8 this year, fellas. That's the
I'm
goal.
still puzzled how Bama was a top 8 seed. I'm still scratching my head trying to figure that out.
Yeah,
but here they are in Omaha, and I mean, the regional speaks for themselves. I thought that was a very fortunate draw they got too. And then, no disrespect to St. John's, but I mean, Bama's absolutely licking their teeth probably right now to get to Omaha.
Yeah.
And the final one, the Lawrence Regional, Kansas hosting Oklahoma. Reed, if I would have told you before the season that Kansas would have 1, 2, 3, 4 guys with double-digit home runs and 4 of them being over 15, would you believe me?
Well, they were pretty good last year. I mean, this program, Dan Fitzgerald's did a sensational job with this program too. But yeah, who's the best? Who's one of the best players in the country that no one's been talking about that plays shortstop? Any guess, Kason?
Is it Tyson LeBlanc?
Correct. He has absolutely been sensational. His numbers speak for himself as a shortstop with 24 home runs on the season too. He's been a huge factor why this Kansas team has had a ton of success this season. But yeah, I mean that ballpark is a home run friendly park too. That atmosphere is going to be absolutely rocking this weekend too. I saw Fitzgerald too. He was like, I was kind of rooting for Oklahoma against Georgia Tech, so we could host a super. So his fanship came out there. That was kind of cool to see. But I mean, you can't knock out this. I mean, it's going to be tough against this Oklahoma team. After seeing what they did against Georgia Tech with their backs against the wall, down big in both of those games too, Braxton, when they were down 5+ runs in both of those, scratching, calling, to come back and then win that regional against a generational Georgia Tech team. I think this super regional is very intriguing, and I look forward to watching it this weekend. But I think Kansas. I like Kansas. I think they win in 3.
Yeah, I'm picking against Kansas again. It's tough because there's just something special about the Sooner Club, man. It reminds me of a little bit of the team that got to the Natty a few years ago, where they just kind of had this special little run. They end up losing to Ole Miss, I think it was.
Correct.
That year. And dude, I was watching those Georgia Tech games and I was just like, dude, this team is just made of something here. I just think that they have a will to win, and I was really impressed with. I mean, obviously that walk-off bomb was just absolutely demolished.
I don't think that ball has landed yet.
No, they interviewed the kid after, and he was just like, he just seemed so like confident that he was going to do that, and it was just like, whoa, like this team is legit. Like, I just, I completely I counted them out of that regional completely.
Same.
I
With
just
the way they had
didn't
been
put
playing
them.
too the past month.
Yeah. They really kind of played themselves out of a host spot. Like they kind of had a borderline chance of that kind of the last month of the season. But like I just put down Georgia Tech and was like, let's move on. I didn't,
Yeah.
I thought it was a good draw for Georgia Tech, to be honest. And
Same.
here we are. They're in supers now. I'm picking them to go to Omaha. So that's just what can happen. That goes to show what can happen on a regional weekend. Like, we think we have an idea of all these teams, but we really don't. And then we see them play in a regional format, and then we have a better idea. And so theoretically, these picks should be better. But I mean, you still just never know what's going to happen. So it'll probably be Kansas in 2, but I'm going Oklahoma in 3.
I'm going to go Kansas in 3. My gut is to go Oklahoma, Braxton. Like you kind of said, you're kind of same mindset there. But
yeah,
Reed, Tyson LeBlanc has the power to take them to Omaha. And Reed, I'm curious what went on with his recruitment in LSU because he's from Louisiana, played JUCO at Louisiana. What is it? UDeese or something like that. Won a D2 national championship in Louisiana. You would think that LSU would be all over this guy, but he finds his way to Lawrence, Kansas, and is leading them. Honestly, could be to Omaha. So shout out Tyson. Shout out the Kansas.
I'm sure Jay Johnson is crying that they don't have him this year.
You think he watched any baseball this weekend?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
Wait, yes, because he's scouting.
Recruiting who he wants.
Yeah,
no, I'm talking about regional. Oh, you're saying out of the portal? Yeah.
Absolutely. We've already got portal's already insane. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Before we go, let's wrap up on Schnall quickly. What do you guys think happens? I mean, I'm hearing one thing and then I'm hearing another thing. I mean, and Scott Forbes to Columbia.
Yes, it appears so, according to the Gamecock board.
I will say though, I don't think it'll happen, but I definitely think that they called for sure. You definitely had to send a temp check to everybody. I don't blame them. But
I think that was more what I read had to have just been just a dream hire. I really don't see any way that they picked up the phone and asked about him.
Did the Canes just score
tied it up? They haven't scored, and it's the third period. They just tied it up in like 2 minutes in the third.
Wow.
My dad just came in.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, what were we just talking about? Because I had an opinion on it.
Schnall.
Oh yeah. The only thing I'm going to say is money talks, and I think he's going to go. I didn't think it all year, but sometimes there's just not a number that you can say no to, or there's a number that you just can't say no to. And as crazy as it sounds, I feel like he's checked out of this Coastal team late in the year, and I think that's part of the reason why they just haven't been playing well. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I think he's going to go. I don't know. I have a feeling.
Certainly with some of the portal news they had yesterday, I mean, all but signs, in my opinion, point that he's going to leave. And then today I saw a statement that he's focused on getting Coastal back to Omaha too, and there was no deal in place. Rumors kind of flown out yesterday that a deal had been in place with South Carolina. I think he's definitely interviewed for the position this week, but another name too I've seen with South Carolina is Steve Savins too. I think.
Yeah.
I think I've seen those are the top 2 targets for South Carolina. So it's certainly going to be interesting to follow here the next few weeks to see what they do. I hope Schnall personally stays at Coastal. I think it's a better job, but like you said, money talks.
We'll probably do a video on it or something when it comes out, just giving our thoughts, because I'm sure it'll happen in the next month or 2.
And I will say, when there's smoke, there's fire. The noise, the mass exodus. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying the guy's leaving is because he's leaving, but I mean, I said, when there's smoke, there's fire.
I mean, for all we know, he could have already told the team.
I agree. So
who knows?
And unlike college basketball and baseball, there's no real national media guys that get in the guys' ears. I mean, like the Lane Kiffin, Will Wade situation, like these coachings, there's coaches that do that. I mean, for baseball, you're going to find out pretty organically. So, that will do it for our super regional preview. Braxton, good to have you back, brother. Hopefully, we'll do one of these previewing North Carolina in Omaha next week. But we are going to have shows throughout the summer. This summer, going to have a lot of transfer portal content when the season ends, because that's the big craze. So we're going to go throughout the summer. This summer, at least one show a week to just kind of recap the season, maybe do some team recaps, transfer portal, some other fun topics, just to keep the content flowing. But Braxton, we'll let you go so you can watch the Canes.
Yeah.
Reed, I will see you tomorrow, sir, at the Bosch. Thank you guys for another great night. Anything else, Reed?
I'll just touch on it real quick, Braxton, before you can go. The viewership on ESPN this weekend too, I think I saw up 38%. College baseball just continues to grow year by year. I mean, if you're not on board now, no better time to join.
That's a fair point. It's awesome.
I also
shout out Squeeze Play too.
I also shout out Squeeze Play. I also want to.
It's a savior.
Yeah.
I also want to point out, as a fellow hater and a fellow hate watcher, the most watched game this weekend was Tennessee VCU. I know at least 700 of those fans, 700,000, were other SEC fans rooting for Tennessee to lose. So I respect it. I respect it as a fellow hate watcher. The fact that VCU Tennessee was the highest watched game is just hilarious to me. That's just ultimate hate watch, and I respect it.
Didn't it say it was like third all time of like?
Yes.
So imagine just like being on that VCU team and being like, yeah, I was in the third most all time watch.
An 0-1 game at noon on a Saturday.
Insane.
Third most watched game of all time. Crazy.
Insane. All right. Tobin, see you tomorrow. Braxton, I'll see you this weekend too on Saturday.
See y'all Saturday.
Looking forward to it, fellas, and we will see you next week, folks. Thank you for watching.